Good afternoon, everybody. This is Welfarian, the Welfare All Stars on tnsradio.ning.com, Scottish Sovereigns on the Land.ning.com. Good afternoon, everybody. Lovely to see you all. Sorry about last week. I had a dentist appointment which I made for me and the kids and didn't actually get there because the traffic was so bad. So it's a bit of a gutter, so apologies for all that. We're going to stick to our schedule today, so even though we're running a bit late because of the problems with the stream, so sorry about that as well. We're going to start off with a news item, and Nick's going to go first.
Hello.
Hello,
it's
Nick.
a news item from the Telegraph of half a million people set to lose disability benefits as the government pushes ahead with plans to rid the system of abuse and fraud. The Pension Secretary says he's determined to introduce radical reforms to disability benefits which will see more than 2 million claimants reassessed in the next 4 years. He says that the number of claimants has risen by 30% in recent years, rising well ahead of any other gauge you might make about illness, sickness or disability. Losing a limb should not automatically entitle people to payouts, he suggests. The cost of disability living allowance, which is intended to help people meet the extra costs of mobility and care associated with their conditions, now outstrips unemployment benefit and will soon be £13 billion annually. Under the reform plans, the existing benefit will be replaced with a simpler, more focused allowance, and only those medically assessed to be in genuine need of support will continue to qualify. I think that pretty much says it all, really, that they're talking about more focused, and they've already decided the terms and the amount of savings.
It's a massive figure as well. Was it 500,000?
500,000.
Yeah. So, I mean, massive. The DLA stuff, I was looking at that, and it looks like the people that are going to lose out, the people that are immediately going to lose out, will be the people that get DLA lower rate care component, which is basically all you have to do is pass for. All you have to do is you have to show that you can't cook a meal from scratch, a fresh a cooked meal from scratch. So you have to be able to peel vegetables, boil water, etc., etc. So a lot of the people that qualify for DLA care component lower rate on those grounds will lose. There's no transitional protection for them. They will lose that as soon as the PIP comes in, because there's only it's different. They're setting the rates very differently. So loads of those will go. I don't know what percentage that is, but it's a pretty high percentage, and then everybody will have to be reassessed.
I think when you look at it, they actually float the idea of 30%, so I think that's exactly what their medicals will be on target to do.
It's also a big assumption as well in that news article, because, it says 500,000 to lose disability benefit, but they kind of link it in with the terms of abuse and fraud, So it's almost assuming that, well, there's 500,000 people who are being abusive and fraudulent. You know what I mean? It's kind of...
That's the way this is all being targeted, isn't
it? Exactly, yeah.
It's we know that, they're letting bankers off with, massive... Vodafone, the big corporations that aren't paying their taxes, but yet shaft the people that are the most vulnerable. And nobody seems to say anything. What the fuck?
Well, except us.
Well, yeah, except us, but, people really do need to wake up a bit before it's really too late.
Yeah, but voice next to the big seat.
Okay, right, who's going to go next? I think I'm going to go next. Hold on. Okay. This is about tax credits. This is working tax credits change hit 20,000 households. Right, more than 200,000 low-income families have lost working tax credit payments of up to £73 a week, Treasury figures confirm. Changes introduced on the 6th of April required claimant households to work at least 24 hours a week to qualify for tax credits, up from 16 hours a week. Government snapshot estimates about 212,000 couples would be affected, but ministers argued that a large proportion would be able to persuade their employers to increase their hours. I'll just comment on this quickly. When I was working, I did a lot of work. I was working with a lot of families, and lots of the women that I was working with, all fathers, had part-time jobs, and most of those were working, getting tax credits and working, you know, up to 16 hours a week. They couldn't, if they approached their employer and asked them to up their hours to 24, all of them said no. I did not know one employer, and I knew people that were working within the council with me, working for, you know, the NHS, working for, you know, the DWP job centre, and none of those employers would increase their hours either. So I believe that it is a massive amount of couples, households, single people that this will be affecting. For me, it's a pretty biggie because it will affect so many people that are in low part-time work and can't increase their hours, so they'll be shafted back onto income support. Again, you know, they're workless figures, I think it's around, but...
I personally think they're doing all of this to prepare everybody to go under universal credit. I think that's what it's there to do. I think they're all just trying to put everybody into this whole bucket. You know, it's kind of like the steps here and the steps there to put everybody into this in 2013, you know?
Yeah.
I think there's something here. What's this? Is this article mentioned that? Yeah, I'm going to read this article.
Okay.
And it goes into sort of like that. This is another Telegraph article. It's, David Cameron considers extra £25 billion of welfare cuts. And if anybody does a little Google search on the meaning of the word name Cameron, you'll find that it's Gaelic for crooked and bent. I found that interesting. So, anyway, the plans include a new crackdown on housing benefit and a Mark II system of universal credit, which is amazing. Mark II, I mean, they haven't even properly implemented universal credit 1 yet, so I don't even know how they can make sudden changes like that. To help push people off benefits back into full-time rather than part-time work. And this is interesting, that line, because I remember reading one of the statutes of universal credit, and it actually considers, and this kind of mentality is this crazy madness, really, because they actually consider that under universal credit, if you're looking for a job, they consider that to be full-time work. It's this, you know, you're looking for full-time work, but they consider you're actually in full-time work, looking for full-time work. Well, you know, that's what a nut terminology that is. But anyway, there are also understood to be a range of measures to encourage more women, particularly single mothers, to return to work. Well, that's another thing there again. Is like, you know, get all these single mothers to try and get them into work. I mean, where are their children going to go? Who's going to look after them? It's got to be the state. The state are going to come in and take them, aren't they? I mean, if they're in full-time work or being pushed into full-time work, the children are going to end up being looked after by the state, surely. Where else can their children go, right? That just seems another push there.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
Is there, you know, what work is there for these women or men that have been at home raising kids for years and years and years, and some of these men have been, you know, at home for, you know, years.
Exactly. I mean, it's just hypocrisy. I mean, the incredible hypocrisy that's coming out of here. It's just nonsense. I mean, you know, all these people who are in these jobs, they have no idea about what their decisions are doing, about, you know, people in real life situations. I mean, I found a table, like a pyramidical table of all the positions in the civil service and the DWP, you know, from the top down. And some of the money that these people at the top, the CEOs and the head of departments are earning, they're earning from anything from 120 to 160 grand a year. You know?
Yeah.
And there they are making decisions or policies or white papers, and they're all trying to, you know, make reasons to why they should cut benefits. They're just protecting their own backsides, right? I mean, it's just mad. You know, it does fire you up. But anyway. And I'll carry on. The proposals have been drawn up in a policy paper for the Prime Minister presented by Steve Hilton, the outgoing number 10 Director of Implementation, and Ian Duncan-Smith, the Working Pension Secretary. Mr. Hilton, who left Downing Street yesterday for a post at a Californian university, is understood to believe that another $25 billion can be cut from the welfare budget, although this level of saving is regarded as absolute nonsense by Duncan-Smith. Anyway, the savings will be made from cutting back benefits for people of working age. However, the Working Pension Secretary has privately indicated that pensioner benefits should also be reconsidered in future, but not for people who are already retired. The new round of welfare reforms are designed to be introduced from 2014, as the measures are expected to be politically popular in the run-up to the next election. However, the plans are understood not yet to have been shared with the Liberal Democrats. Also, that term condemn they keep using as well, that makes me think. I mean, condemnation, who are they condemning? Seems to be the people, right? A Downing Street source said there is some really radical thinking going on around welfare, which is the most successful area of government policy so far. Why should people only work part-time? Why are young people who are out of work not living at home? Why are we incentivizing people to have more children? The Prime Minister is very keen on the next stage of welfare reform, and there are some properly worked out plans which have been submitted by Steve Hilton before he left. Another senior government source said, what we are engaged in is in the Mark II stage of welfare reform. It's how do we take the universal credit into the next phase, encourage people to work longer hours, not just languish on 10, 15 or 20 hours. Right, so longer hours? What are they talking about? Longer than the usual 8 hours, or longer than... Yeah, I suppose they're just trying to push the idea of, like they said earlier, that get people off part-time work and into full-time work. Well, I mean, what full-time work are they talking about? I mean, surely employers, and not all employers, will be offering full-time work. I mean, and how can they even force employers to say, well, you take on this person full-time because it's our policy? I mean, it's just nonsense, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, these things are part of a much bigger extended program from where we are to take us forward. They're a longer-term saving by getting more people into work, by giving people greater control of their lives, by making them essentially the masters of their destiny again. We will reap massive rewards and thus massive savings. You know, it's just all this, these people, it's just all this rhetoric, you know. What do they know about people's lives and how they're living and the situations they're in? You know, I mean, it's all caused by the banking system anyway. I mean, you know, they bail out all this money, billions and billions of pounds in the banking system, and they say, well, now you've got to pay it all back. And they say, well, just make a load of cuts. And nobody's pointing the finger in the right direction. I mean, politicians certainly aren't. But anyway, I mean, do you want me to carry on with this, or do you kind of get the message?
I think we've got the message.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
And it's not a good one, is it?
Well, yeah, I know. It never seems to be, does it? I mean, it's like... yeah, I know. It's just, it does my head in too. It gets me angry. It gets me angry because I think it gets a lot of people angry on TNS and anyone else listening in, because we know the reasons why this is happening. We know who's responsible, you might say. So yeah.
It happens and happens again, and something worse happens, and still nobody says anything or does anything. So something else happens. That's the sort of problem with all of this.
Yeah.
And I see one on there, Neo, just looking at the middle of that article.
Yeah.
The expert talks about savings being made naturally through behavioural changes.
Ah, yeah. I keep hearing that as well, yeah. Behavioural changes. You see, there's a lot of psychology going on here, people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of psychiatry going on here. And the thing is, there's a guy, and he's called Lord Freud. And I can't remember. I think he's one of the heads of He's heads of one of the...
He's a commissioner, isn't he?
He's one of the top... He's quite a top guy.
Yeah.
And I think he's got something to do with the cuts. I'm sure... I can't remember his position, but he's called Lord Freud, and he's the great-grandson of Sigmund Freud. Did you know that?
I think I did know that. I don't know much about him, though.
No, I mean, I kind of did a little quick research into his name, and I found that very interesting. I don't know if I can't remember from the article now. I couldn't go into details without it being in front of me now, but I did remember that specifically. So I thought, oh wow, look at that. I mean, so Freud being a psychiatrist, right? I mean, there seems to be a lot of mental, let's say, mental breaking down of lots of people in departments or in politics, and it's all kind of seeping down into the population. So whether there's this whole NLP programming going on, it all seems like a complete change of a complete push of changing the minds of people into following something that's this new idea, and you have to do it all psychologically. There seems to be a hell of a lot of psychiatry going on within government today. All this change, right? You know, and it's about changing people's minds first. How can you have change without changing the minds of people? So I think there's a lot of that going on, and has been for a while. You know, Brian Gerrish and Common Purpose, NLP and all that, I think it's all part of it. You know, so yeah. If anybody else wants to...
I say, Nick, do you want to say anything there?
Not much else about that. I mean, everyone else is just going to go and have parties now, aren't they? And then watch lots of sports. So,
What you mean?
people are going to be busy over the
carry
summer.
on. Sorry?
They have a lot of distractions to deal with.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, they enjoy doing that, don't they? Nice, put on a distraction while they push through all these changes. Yeah, that's right. Should be interesting this summer, and the Olympics and the Euro and everything else. Am I understanding what you're meaning there?
The whole thing, it's all going to fall apart big time, I think.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit worried just living down the road from the Olympics, so stop talking about it so regularly.
Well,
Right,
have
does
you
anyone else
seen
have
all
any...
the sheds in Newham?
What sheds?
There's people living in sheds in the gardens in Newham.
What, as in, what sort
Me?
of sheds?
Didn't you see
What
it on the
sort of
news
shed?
article?
No.
End of the garden, like prefab sheds.
What, put up for people just to stay in temporarily while the Olympics are...
Oh, rented.
Yeah, but hasn't that been going on for a bit, that people are living in sheds and selling them and selling fucking cupboards and all sorts of crap like that? Is this another thing on top of that awfulness?
Oh, I think it's just a general thing. It looks like part of a shanty town.
No, I haven't seen that. I will check that out. Have you got anything there?
I'm sure I've got it somewhere here. Hang on. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I'll just as a sort of news. I was going to say that I've signed off because I've claimed carers allowance, and it was that's why we were a bit late because I had to go to the job centre. I had a really bad experience yesterday on the phone, which I'll talk about later. But my experience today was really nice. The lady was really nice. It actually took me aback. Really helpful. Wanted me to get a crisis loan if I didn't have enough money, telling me how to get a crisis loan. So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, that's what you call a professional there, though, see?
And I did feel like she'd, taken some care about me, what I wanted, gave me a number if I had any problems to give her a call. And I walked out. I mean, I was only in there for 20 minutes, so it wasn't, an in-depth thing. I was looking at my statement, going through it, checking it was all right, and just had a chat with her, and she was like, because you're caring, we won't ask you back for a work focus interview for 3 years, but if you need anything, here's my number. If you want to do any training, call me. It was nice.
Yeah, some of them are good people in there. Yeah.
But that should be everybody's experience all the time.
It should be, yeah, no matter what benefits you're on. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they should be following their codes under their terms and conditions, because under their terms and conditions, they have codes to follow under the 7 principles of public life. Unlike the guy that I had to deal with the other week, who just got really abusive towards me. And this is somebody in the disablement benefits department. I mean, they're supposed to have a higher level of care than any other department, surely. And I'm in there asking questions, and he's like, I ain't got time to piss about. If you don't want to claim JSA, don't claim JSA. Like that. I mean, really, in my face. I'm sitting there really calmly, and I'm, even though I'm getting quite angry inside, a bit of a spark is about to go, but I'm thinking, right, okay, just calm down now. Just breathe, just calm down. And I said, why are you being so aggressive? I'm not being aggressive.
Sorry, I'm not being aggressive. Fucking much.
I know, he didn't realise his behaviour. He did not realise it. And I'm sitting there thinking, whoa. And I'm trying to ask him some more questions, and he calls, when I first got there, I said, I'd like to see a supervisor, I'd like to see the boss. And he said, well, I'll see if I can answer your questions. So I asked the questions, and it just pissed him off. And I thought, well, should have got me a supervisor, right? Yeah. but then he finally gets his boss. And most of the people there are about 80% of the people there, the advisors are women. And his boss is a woman. But the way he pulls her over was not like that of somebody you treat your boss. I mean, he pointed at her. And then he's like, come here.
Wait, I'm
thinking, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And I don't want to deal with this guy again, really. I still need to phone him up and say, I don't want to deal with this guy. Really, that guy should be disciplined.
No, he sounds a bit disturbed.
He does sound disturbed, doesn't he? He's probably taking Prozac or something. Thing is, this guy admitted to me that he used to work for the pharmaceutical industry, and he once told me, "Oh, you shouldn't read everything you should read on the internet about antidepressants."
They are whiskey, aren't they?
Oh my God! I'm thinking, this guy, you shouldn't be working here, mate. There's something wrong, you know. You go back to your old job. Go back to your old job, because if they've employed you because of your history in pharmaceuticals, you shouldn't be here.
I rang the job set. I'll tell you now while Nick's sorting that out, but just very quickly. I rang because I knew I had this interview today, and I wanted to, because I should have been paid Wednesday, and it's already late. It's Thursday today, so we're late. We're due our money, so we're going to be fucked. So I thought I'd better make sure the interview's, at Peckham Job Centre tomorrow after 3, because if I get there and it's not going to be on, I'm going to have a right arse. I'm going to, not be happy. So let me make sure it's, it is there at 3:30. So I rang income support and I said, blah, blah, I made a new claim. He was like, well, it'll take 9 working days from when you sign the statement, when you go to the job centre tomorrow. And I'm like, well, I just wanted to check that I've got this appointment at the job centre tomorrow. And he's like, really rude, not just really abrupt, just repeatedly saying to me, well, you need to get to the job centre, you've got your appointment tomorrow. Just really fast, speaking that quickly at me down the phone, clearly wanting me to get off the phone. So I said, excuse me, I said, I'm asking you a question. I'm only asking you a question. I just want to know if I need to go to the job centre tomorrow, and if I haven't got an appointment, what do I do then? That was all I wanted to ask. It wasn't something major. I just wanted to ask what I do if there's no appointment there. Who do I ring to check where this appointment's supposed to be? And he was just so rude. And when I said to him, we employ you. You are a civil servant. You are here to advise me when I'm asking you a question. He actually said, he stopped me and said, "I'm going to put the phone down. You can't speak to me like this. I am not here to. I'm not paid to advise you." That's what he said. "I'm not paid to advise you. I'm here. I'm paid to answer your questions." And I said, "Okay. What I'm asking is not your advice, it was a question." Because it was a question. Yeah. I said, "I'm not being rude, I just want an answer to a perfectly reasonable question." Yeah. He did answer it in the end, but it was a fucking nightmare.
Some of these people are just somehow robotic. And they read these scripts, and if you read a question outside their script, it's like, oh, breakdown, breakdown.
But a conversation that could have taken 2 minutes took 5 minutes because he was being a right tosser.
Yeah, the individuals. I mean, I don't know what kind of training they must be getting today, but I mean, they still have to follow these so-called codes, and if they're breaking those codes, they can get disciplined. They can get disciplined.
Yeah, but
you need to mention it.
How hard is it to be disciplined in the civil service? I've worked for local authorities. I know it's impossible. It's really, really hard.
I think maybe coming in as a member of the public, it might be more difficult, yeah. But I mean, I remember being, when I was inside it, I remember getting disciplined several times quite easily.
But following, if anyone, I knew people that had complaints made about them, and they were dealt with pretty poorly, in all honesty. The person that was making the complaint, there was always the appearance that it was transparent, but it wasn't really. The employer was always on the side of the employee, not on the complaining person, which was a shame.
Maybe you just need to go higher. Maybe you just need to say, look, I can create an investigation via the commissioners, because I think you've just broken your code. That might be enough for them to change their mind. See, who knows? It depends. It depends if you really think it's worth going through the hassle. I mean, the guy that spoke to me the way he did, I mean, that was just wrong.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Right in front of my face, really. Really quite aggressive, and everybody saw him. Right in front of witnesses. You're not all there, mate.
Is that what he said? You're not all there, mate.
You're not all there, mate.
That's classic.
I know.
Oh, that's so rude. Jesus.
It is rude. Yeah, it was rude. Yeah.
Anyway,
but Neo, someone should have stepped in on that, shouldn't they?
Yeah, well, they all sat there. You see, I mean, even the even the supervisor. I mean, they must have all heard. The supervisor was in the other corner, and she was probably looking, or unless they all stick their head down when something happens. It's like, oh God, no, I can't take this. I'm going to stick my head down, But when he pointed at her, as if when he went, come here, to get her over him, right? And then they sort of sat down together, and I'm thinking, oh shit, it's good cop, bad cop now.
Sorry, I'm really laughing.
I'm just going, I don't know, I just don't understand my contract. I'm trying to work out exactly what you want, because this statute says this, there's 2 steps here, and you're saying, no, you've got to apply for 3 jobs here, and they're sort of scratching their head going, oh, well, yeah, I suppose it means this, and I suppose it means that. And I'm saying, well, that's just your opinion. It's either lawful or it's not lawful. Blah, 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 and on it goes. They're just trying to give their opinions about something they have no knowledge of. And you're thinking they're going, oh, Christ, this is going to end.
How did you expect it to go?
Well, no, I did. Well, how do I expect it to go? I don't think you can expect it to go anywhere. I mean, you just sort of go in there and ask questions, and hopefully things will be okay. But I don't expect to be shouted at.
No, that was the point I was trying to make, because even though you probably knew it wouldn't be a very fruitful experience, you didn't think you'd be spoken to like that, because you wouldn't put yourself through that, would you?
No. I mean, the guy I wouldn't say he's scared me, but I did kind of feel a bit, what do you call it, vulnerable right then.
Oh, intimidated. That's intimidating someone, because he's in a position of power, isn't he?
Well, yeah, exactly. There you go. That's what I mean about, when I was was reading about contract law the other week. You can't do that. You can't force a contract by intimidation. And there he was.
Stop it.
You just broke the law, mate. Call the police. I don't know. It just makes me. I've got to laugh about it now.
Yeah, well, I just hearing this, hope people will know that. I don't know, if you go and speak to them in that manner, don't be surprised if you get spoken to like that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just like.
However wrong it's so wrong, isn't that that you've got to take that and.
Well, all I said to him was like, I'd just like to rediscuss the job seekers agreement, please, the contract, and he just, he just went off on one, and I think it was maybe because I had to repeat the question because I wasn't getting a decent answer.
And if you made a complaint about the AO who you saw, the advisor that you saw, that would go to the EO, who would then speak to the AO about what had happened, and it just wouldn't go anywhere unless you would have to take it higher. You'd have to.
If you want to put the effort in, yeah. But I mean, it could. I mean, what conclusion do you want to come to? You want to give the guy a slap on the hand? Because I mean, the worst that you can get to begin with is a verbal warning, really, to begin with. But
it would be a verbal warning.
Yeah, but I mean, still, I'd rather just not deal with them.
Yeah, it's just what do we have to take before?
Yeah,
But what do you do? It's your livelihood at the moment, isn't it? If you can't sign on, you can't live. So they've just got you, haven't they? Every which way.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's all illegal anyway. They just don't realise it. I think there's a lot of illegal, unlawful, whatever you want to term it, but I suppose in the legal world, which is based upon, it's still illegal, as far as I can see. But they don't see it that way. I mean, the thing is that when I was trying to discuss it with the supervisor, she was very nice, actually. I quite liked her. She was
okay.
I mean, she was nice. The women always seem to be somewhat nicer. Not all of them, but I find that women are usually nicer to deal with when you're dealing with them in those offices. Well, yeah, I think you just listen better, and you just don't get pissed off too quite. Guys can get pissed off quite fast. But I mean, but at the time I'm discussing it with her. This guy's just like he's just sniggling to himself, because
And she didn't say anything to him.
No, she didn't. She didn't tell him to shut up. She didn't say, please leave, or, I should have said. Actually, I realised I should have said to her, "Can we go somewhere private?" But I mean, I was kind of felt a little intimidated by them. And I thought, I don't know what to do. But You know, and it was almost as if he had this assumption attitude that I was just trying to get out of something. You know, it's like, you know.
Yeah, which is even worse, isn't it?
Yeah, but with what I know, I mean, I've got to ask questions now. You know, so it's like with what we all know, I'm beginning and learning, listening to other hosts and that, with all the information. I've got to start asking these questions now. I can't just, you know, you can't just keep taking it. You know, you got to fight.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I mean, everyone fights in their own way.
yeah, I know, yeah, that's right. And a passive way is probably perhaps a better way of doing it today, you know, but still.
You got to do what you got to do, though, haven't you?
Well, you got to do, yeah, you got to do. If you know something's wrong, you got to do something about it. You know, I mean, I've been all right so far. They haven't slapped any sanctions on me, or they haven't threatened. Well, they have. They always threaten you from the beginning, but I've always kind of turned it around on them, and nothing's happened so far. But
I'm just so glad I'm not signing on anymore. I can't tell you what a relief it is when she said to me today, you don't have to come for a work focus interview for 3 years. I thought, fuck me, that is sorry. Excuse me, that just came out. That's absolutely fantastic.
yeah, I know it is
It's
like a
exactly
weight off
what
your
you meant,
shoulders.
isn't it?
It was exactly what I meant, though.
It's like a weight off your shoulders, I think, and I think
Yeah.
it's all this pressure. It's pressure if you're on disablement benefits. It's pressure if you're on JSA. And I've said it before. You really just, you know, they want people to get work and all of that. Yeah, that's fine. If there was, you know, if this work actually existed, depending on what your work, you know, what your trade is or whatever you used to do in your area. But, you know, for it to all come towards you as a threat and, you know, you must do this, you must do that, and it's just piles on stress and pressure for people when they just want to get left alone. You know, just leave me alone, you know, and I will find a fucking job. You know, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
You're just causing people to go sick. So,
Sorry, stop making me laugh. I've got real giggles today, everybody. I'm sorry.
am I making you laugh?
You are. I don't know. I've just got real giggles.
Oh, I know why.
Oh, dear.
That's Jack tickling your ribs at the same time, isn't it?
No, he's downstairs. I'm upstairs.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's like the guy in the Fantastic Four then.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you. I know that went on a bit longer than we wanted it to, really, but I
My
thought
fault.
that was I thought that was interesting, and I hope everybody else did. So we'll go to a tune now, and then Wild Swan is going to come on, and we're going to have a discussion about dogs. And I actually can't remember what we're discussing, but I know it's about dogs. So catch you after this tune, everybody. Oh, hello everybody. We've got a bit of a fuzzy noise, so I think Jack's going to check that out. But can you just let us know if you can hear everything okay in the chat box, please?
Right, not your end. That must be something else. Because you.
Right, it's not me. You can. Right, okay. Was that?
Oh, it's Julie.
What do you mean it's me?
Are you there?
Yeah. Hello?
No, we're fine. The noise has sort of diminished slightly. Great. I don't know who that was. It may well have been me. I'm sorry. Okay, well, sorry about that, Wild Swan. Welcome this afternoon. Lovely to talk to you. How are you?
I'm very, very well, and how are you?
I'm actually in pretty good mood as it goes. Yeah, I'm good.
Good, good.
Yeah, looking forward to chatting with you too.
Yeah, I missed you last week, I must admit.
Yeah, no, I miss being here as it goes, so it's nice to be back. So,
Good.
yeah. So, what are we going to... I know we're talking about dogs, and I know you told me, and I can't believe I've forgotten, but I know it's around dogs, but I can't actually remember what.
Well, we're going to start talking about... talk about dogs, I could be here for 24 hours for the next 2 weeks. But it was more about dog food and what goes into it.
You know, we've got the 2 dogs, and everyone probably knows we've got these 2 beautiful dogs, and I think I've spoken to you about the cost of feeding 2 big dogs like this and ways for them to be healthier. So this is going to be really useful for me as well. So, yeah, please do share your knowledge with us.
Okay. The thing about dogs is well, I don't know where to start actually, because I might start ranting. Dogs are omnivores, which means they're a species that can eat plant and animal material as their primary food sources. So unlike cats, who they can have a varied diet, meat, fish, fruit, veg, and all of this is going to fill their nutritional needs. The problem with the dog food companies is they don't put any of that nice stuff in there.
They don't?
No. Well, I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them, they'll be labelled up as meat and animal derivatives.
Oh God, I could want to read that.
I was going to say, do you actually want to know what that is? Because it's not nice.
Go on. As soon as you said that word, you might as well say what it's in it. Or...
It actually means it's a loose term that covers any meat or animal byproduct without specifying what it is. It's also a term that's used to hide unhealthy or undesirable ingredients, such as low-quality byproducts. We talk about hoofs and horn and skin. They'll bung the skin in and everything else. And also a lot more of much less healthy meat, such as beef. It also enables them to change the protein source with every batch, and they don't have to change the label. So
I don't get that. What do you mean?
So basically, if they've managed to get hold of a load of, I don't know, cheap roadkill deer, which is going to the extreme. I was
going to say, no.
It has been known, it has been proven roadkill does go into dog food. But if they get hold of a load of that cheap and they bung it in 1 month, then in the next batch that they make, it might be a load of pigs that they get, but they don't actually have to change the label.
As long as it says the meat and whatever.
Derivatives, yeah. Yeah, so when it says it's chicken and rice, it's a very small amount of chicken and lots of other nasty stuff. So yeah, they're kind of one of the best things to avoid.
See, actually, I don't know why I'm that surprised. The stuff they put in human food is bad enough, so why am I surprised what they put in dog food?
Oh, I know. A lot of it is actually waste products from the meat and the bakery industry. So when you think that you're getting whole wheat flour or something like that, it's actually the chaff that's been left over from when they've milled the flour, and they sweep it up off the floor and they send it to the dog processing plant.
Nice.
Yeah. And I know dogs are scavengers. I mean, I'm well aware that they're not the cleanest eaters in the world, but...
My dog eats sick.
Yeah.
They do. They eat sick. One of the boys had some friends over at the weekend, and one of them threw up in the hall. That really, really, really annoyed me. It really fucks me up to do stuff like that. And the dog was licking it up in the morning, licking the floorboards. It was, just, I'm like, Tubby, that's gross, man. Christ. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's fine. Mine do it as well. Mine quite happily will throw up and then eat it again.
We eat cat shit, and I was to eat cat shit, which I just really did my head in. How can you eat cat shit, man? Sorry.
No, my mate's got a dog like that. He's obsessed with the stuff. So, and fox.
Oh, no. Oh. Yeah, what goes in? Yes, food. Yeah.
So yeah, I do appreciate that dogs are scavengers, and I'm not saying that they should have a perfectly clean diet, because it's never going to happen. But one of the other biggies is EEC permitted additives. If you see that on a ingredients or a composition on dog food, don't buy it, because it covers over 4,000 chemical additives that can be added to pet food without individually naming them.
How many?
4,000.
I don't have to name these. And what are some examples of that?
It includes the colours such as tartrazine and sunset yellow, which have caused hyperactivity in children. And if it's liable to, that's why sometimes you have dogs that are on processed food and they're absolutely loopy, but you put them on a raw diet and they just chill out a bit. It's brilliant. And the other one is a preservative, such as BHA, which has the potential to cause cancer in animals. And this is what they're putting in their food.
I'm gonna, after we finish, I'm gonna remind myself about wag dog food. We bought some wag dog food, and that made their poo a really weird colour. And I'm sure it was that really nasty yellow, sort of orange.
Yeah, I mean, I got some from the farm shop, which I thought was supposed to be quite good because we were going camping and I couldn't be asked to take frozen blocks. And I thought, I'll just take some kibble. So I went down to the farm shop and I got some from there. And then the next 3 or 4 days, all I was doing was clearing up 3 times the amount of crap that I normally would do. And it wasn't the same. It didn't smell right, which I know sounds stupid, but don't you?
No, and you just think that's a weird colour. That's a wrong colour.
It's like your kids, isn't it? When you used to be changing their nappies, you'd know how healthy they were, and it's exactly the same with dogs.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's, if you're going to buy kibble, just check those, because those are the 3 biggies: derivatives of vegetable, derivatives of meat, and permitted additives.
Can I just ask, just quickly at this point, is there a massive difference in the quality and the marketing price for dog food? Like, Wag is like a tenner for like a 15 big kilo, whatever it is, bag, and the James Wellbeloved is like 35 quid for the same amount. Is it that massively different?
That is an interesting question, because if you'd asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have said, yes, there is a difference. I can't actually say that anymore because James Wellbeloved have been bought out by Peruna, who are owned by, I think it's Procter & Gamble,
oh dear,
the chemical company. And so they'll say they'll keep the separate website and they'll keep this, but the products that start going into the dog food are going to start to become lower. And you're basically going to end up, whether you buy Lidl's owned James Wellbeloved, completely varying prices, but basically it's the same stuff that's in the food.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, there are the odd 1 or 2 that I'd buy in an emergency, something like Vet's Kitchen, because I know that I've been following this one very carefully, and I know it's been designed by a vet, and what he's put in it is the stuff that's good for dogs. It is chicken or it is lamb. It's not weird and wonderfuls.
Bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, bits of animal.
But yeah, I'd actually say all the rest of them were much of a much. But
Yeah,
check the ingredients. Those are the 3 you have to watch out for.
Okay, I'll check. I'll look, and I'll look at that Wag properly later as well. Sorry for butting in. I know
No. But if you've got it and you don't chuck it out, feed them the rest of it. But then just get something.
Yeah, we've got some of it left because they wouldn't eat it. They really didn't like it, and it was we ended up buying the James Wellbeloved a few days later anyway because they wouldn't fucking eat it. So.
Oh, great! Bless them.
Yes, love the dogs.
Yeah. Have you thought about feeding them raw?
Yeah, we've been talking about it, but we're paving the back garden at the moment, and I really want it to be. I want it to be a thing that we're really organised about. So we've got to have a freezer to be able to freeze enough meat for them because they're 2 big dogs, so they eat a lot. So it's we're sorting out the back garden, sorting the freezer out, trying to find a butcher that we can get the meat from. And we really down that route, definitely.
Yeah, it is hard. I haven't found a butcher. Not that I can. I mean, a friend of mine, she lives up in Red Hill. She's got an amazing butcher who grinds up all the chicken carcasses for her. And I think she pays a tenner for 15 kilos, which is absolutely brilliant. Whereas I've got mine on pet shop mince, but at least it's raw. Is the way I look at it. So.
And that was, I mean, it would probably be good if you talked about raw food, because I know we've talked about raw food because I want to change our dog's diet. So I know you've given me information about, what kind of meat that I could give the dogs, because it was something that I didn't know at all. And that was around sort of buying chicken necks and wings and actually giving them the bones as well, because that was, actually giving them raw meat for their, their sole diet.
Yeah, as long as it's raw, the bones, that's the one thing. I very rarely give our dogs any type of cooked bones at all, even though, I've got friends that do it and they watch out for the splinters. But there's always that one that you miss. I've got a dog that takes everything that she's got in the garden and I don't find it all. I don't know where she hides it, bless her. So most of their bones I do give to them raw, but I'll give them half a chicken each. And
when so we were talking about feeding them this chicken, and I know Jack's been cooking chicken and giving them all of it, mashing up the bones and actually giving them, the bones as well with the James Well-Beloved, so it's sort of bulking out the, giving them a bit of both. But we were looking at getting this freezer, buying, thank you, buying, chicken scrag neck. Is that what it's called? I don't even really know.
I just buy bags of poultry necks. So there's chicken and turkey in there. So it's different sizes and everything.
How much is stuff like that?
I buy, I think they work out for a 2 kilo bag. They're probably about $1.70.
Oh, cheap then.
Yeah. I get 16 blocks of 400 grams of mince and 2 bags of those once a fortnight, and that cost me less than 20 quid.
So what do you reckon it costs to feed your 2 dogs then on the diet that you've got them on now?
£5 each for meat. Maybe £1 a week on rice, because I normally, especially in the winter, I do cook up some rice. I have a few homemade biscuits to go in it.
Julie,
just carb.
Julie, just tap your mic or your headset. You've gone a bit fuzzy again.
Oh, have I? Hang on.
Yeah, just a bit.
There you go. Is that better?
No, just do it again.
There you go. No?
No, it's still a bit fuzzy.
Oh, I've obviously got a dodgy jack plug right here.
It was fine a second ago. That's it. Got it?
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Those better.
Okay. No worries. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, £1 for rice, because I buy the cheap rice, and I do give them carbs. Not a huge amount, but I do give them a small amount of carbs. And then a couple of quid a week on carrots.
Yeah. The carrots, that's an interesting one. And I've been speaking to you about giving them fresh fruit and fresh vegetables as well. Is that something as well that you give to them? I know you give them a carrot after eating, and I've been trying to do that with our dogs. One of them likes it, Tubby likes them, but Nuts isn't so keen. Netland isn't so keen. But Nuts, Tubby loves them, really, really enjoys her carrots, and will play with it, munch it, enjoys it.
Oh, brilliant!
Would you use other raw veg with their food? So if we gave them, and how would we give them this chicken? Would we have to chop it up, or what would you do?
I'd chop it up. Obviously, chop it up roughly. You don't want to just chuck a chicken in half and put one in each bowl. But if you can break it up into 3 or 4 pieces, each half a carcass, they can normally manage that.
Okay, so if we bought wings, do you have to bash those about?
No, because it gives them so much crunch, so it cleans their teeth at the same time. So no, wings I wouldn't cut up. The necks I don't cut up, but if I feel like it and I buy a chicken for us, I will sometimes take all the meat off and just have the carcass, and I just bash it with a big knife and a rolling pin.
And give it them like that.
Yeah, yeah, just break it up into pieces for them.
Would you give them raw veg with food as well? Would you give them?
Yes.
Broccoli, I don't know, cauliflower or beans or whatever you've got as part of their diet too, or is it just the thing about keeping their teeth clean?
No, if you can... the problem with giving them a whole carrot is it cleans their teeth and it helps hydrate them rather, and obviously they're getting the carrot goodness. But they don't... It doesn't go through their digestive system very well, because basically a lot of the veg they would have been getting would have been from the partially digested from the inside of a rabbit or something like that as wild dogs. Okay. So that one will go straight through them. But the vet says it's a brilliant idea and it saves you a fortune in dental care later on. If you're going to give them veggies as part of their dinner, if you can grate them or bung them through a liquidizer so they're like a pulp, they find it easier to digest and they will get the nutrients out of it better.
Okay. I try not to, and I only do it really occasionally. I give them the odd bit of chocolate, and when I say that, I really don't give them much chocolate. I know that. I know the kids. Actually, the kids tell me off for doing it. I really don't do it very often, but I do give them the odd, half a biscuit, and I know that's really bad, and you probably should tell me off, because if I hear it from you, I won't do it.
Half a biscuit isn't going to hurt a dog. It's when you share a packet of biscuits with your dog every day and you don't take them out for walks, you're going to have problems. I mean, sugar's not good for dogs, but...
Why not? Why isn't it good for them? Surely if they run around enough, they're going to run off a biscuit and a bit of chocolate.
For the same reason. Chocolate's a different matter. I'll talk about chocolate in a minute. But sugar, it's not good for dogs for the same reason it's not for us. Too much sugar can cause diabetes, overweight, blood problems. They're mammals just like us, and they go down with a lot of the same health problems that we do if you don't look after them properly. But my dogs get half a biscuit. Not every day, but, if I've got a biscuit, the dog's looking at me. How can you say no?
Yeah, I do it. I don't do it loads, but I do. And, I do give them a bit of chocolate. And I kind of think, in a way, I know I hate fat dogs and I hate unfit dogs, and I feel really sad for them because they look so unhappy. But surely, isn't it a bit like humans? They go on and on at you about your diet and what you shouldn't eat. It's going to make you fat, it's going to make you sick, it's going to make you this, it's going to make you that. Surely, probably just give them a little weeny bit of chocolate. Well,
I've got a Dalmatian, and Dalmatians are notorious. They're like labs for putting on weight because they're just so food orientated. People look at her and they say, "How old?" I say she's 8. And they're like, "She only looks about 2. She's so slim and sprightly." And I feed her raw, but she gets a bit of biscuit. She's sharing ice cream when we're at the ferry.
Yeah, so I suppose everything in moderation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I know it is easy to, once you start giving them treats, and this is, I don't know, my downfall as well. I'll tell you this, it will make you laugh. We've been trying to, one of the dogs, Little, and she jumps up and does that sort of biting thing, sort of nipping when people come in. And when I come back, she's so pleased to see me. She jumps up, and where I'm small, and she's, probably now she could put her paws on my shoulder. She knocks me over. So I'm trying to get her to, not do that when I walk through the door. So we bought her some pepperami. What she does now is, I gave her a bit of pepperami, told her to sit, gave it to her when she stopped. Because I walked through the door and I've got a belt on my coat. And I walked through the door, and she does it in the morning as well. I get up with my dressing gown. She drags the lead, the sort of the tie from my dressing gown to sort of take me to the toilet or downstairs or wherever I'm going. So she does it when I walk through the door as well. So she sort of drags me to the kitchen. So I wanted to show her, to stop doing it. So sit, a bit of pepperami. What she started doing, she started biting everybody to try and get a bit of pepperami.
Ooh.
Really? She started biting Charlie as well. What the hell? It's funny. She's really, really weird. But I've never seen a dog react to sort of.
So she was nibbling you. Yeah, she was biting you. So then you started giving her pepperami
to stop her doing it.
But what have you just done? You've just rewarded her for biting you.
Yeah, but don't you give them a treat when they sit?
Yeah, because you've asked them to sit. But if she's nibbling you or biting you when you come up or you come in, And
say to her, stop and sit, and then I can see what you're saying, because I thought what I was doing was coming in, going into the kitchen, saying stop, sit. So I thought I was sort of being clear that I was saying
no. The best thing you could do, and it's never too late to start, is when she comes in, she starts on you, turn your back on her. Just turn your back on her. Just don't tell her off, don't shout at her, just ignore her and turn your back on her. And then when she gets down, you turn around and say hello. She does it again, turn your back. And then when she's got used to that after a few days and she comes in and she doesn't jump up at you, then you give her the piece of sausage.
Okay, I got you. What about the bitey thing?
Again, if you just turn your back, it should...
You say no and turn my back.
I wouldn't even do that. I treat puppies and dogs like 3-year-old children. Don't encourage them at all. Don't talk to them. Basically, just ignore them. And you know what kids are like when they're that age. It's like, well, what have I done? How do I get, you to be nice to me again?
Oh, God, they hate it. It is such a, they really get sad if you say no.
Oh, yeah. But if you start doing that now while they're young enough, you should be able to deal with it quite quickly. But, yeah, just ignore them. Just turn your back on them.
And not give her any pepperami for a little while.
Yeah.
Little cow. Here's a little cow.
Oh, bless her. I think that's brilliant. No, when I walk through the door with my shopping bags and put them on the floor... Callie is in there. She has to know exactly what I've bought, what's for her. And if I've got carrots from the greengrocers and they're not wrapped up, it's the only time she'll help herself to something out of a bag. There could be a chicken in there and she won't touch it, but she'll sneak a carrot out.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, bless her.
And it is, I just you saying coming through the front door, I dread opening the front door because I'm going to get... it's like we call it extreme, extreme. It's like going to the toilet in this house. It's like an extreme sport because you've got to it is. I know they're so excited to see you. It's just they're just so happy. And you can't be angry because they're so lovely. But it does your head in. Yeah, no, our house where it's you come through the front door and then there is no hallway. You go, there's like another door straight to the lounge, and you've got these 2 dogs coming at you, and you've got stuff and whatever. You're just trying to get in, and they now know that they won't get any fuss. I just say back to them, and they're like, okay, and they back off into the front room, and then they can have their hugs, and I'll say hello. Yeah,
but they still come straight to the door, but it's getting better.
It's not such an extreme sport anymore.
But the thing is, she's going to jump up at you at one point and knock you over as she gets bigger.
Yeah, she's nearly done it a couple of times. Even I can't even take them out for a walk at the minute because they're still pulling. She nearly pulls me over, both of them. I just can't do it, and it makes me feel sad because I love taking them out.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with that. Do they just jump up at you, or do they jump up at people in the park?
Oh, little one runs up and jumps up at people in the park as well.
Yeah, you're going to have to get her out of that because under the new laws, if there was somebody that was out that was scared or nervous of dogs, they can actually have her done under the Dangerous Dogs Act because she jumped up.
Yeah, and that would, and the thing is, she's so happy.
Oh, yeah.
She wants to. She'll run up and she'll be wagging her tail, really wagging her bottom and her tail. Mm-hmm. And if they ignore her, she's all right. She'll sort of walk away. She'll just, not ignore them, but she'll sort of, leave them be. But if they even acknowledge her or even look at her or smile at her, that's it. She's like jumping up and wagging and hello.
Yeah, that's what we've got. We've got one of them, and. We basically, when we came home, she was always jumped up. So I did literally fold my arms and turn my back on her. And then when she came down, I just, gave her loads of praise. And then she could come and say hello to me. And it took us about a month and we had to stop jumping up on us. So it is worth giving it a go.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to do it. As I said, I went out last night and I just dread coming home now. I just dread opening, and it's that I've got to fight my way through the front door. If I've got bags, I've got to put the bags in front of me. Sometimes I open the front door, put the keys back in my pocket. By the time I've, trying to push the front door open, they've jumped up the front door and shut the front door on me. It's just, Jesus Christ, I just want to get in, and it does stress me out. It really does.
It's either that or a kiddie gate on the kitchen door or something.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've got to do it. They can't be this uncontrollable. They just can't be.
No, the thing is, small dogs, they get away with it because people think it's cute. Big dogs, people get the ump.
And they're really clumsy. Yeah, well, big dogs. Okay, have I sent you off track of what you were talking about?
No, we were just going to get back onto chocolate if we've got time. Yeah.
Yes, somebody actually wrote, chocolate is poison.
It is.
Why though? What's in chocolate?
There's a chemical in chocolate, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I never can, which is poisonous to both humans and dogs. But dogs being smaller, need to eat a lot less of it than humans do. The darker the chocolate, the more dangerous it is, and it just causes like a toxic shock through the system. Most dogs will be able to get rid of it quite quickly. They will throw it up, or they'll have the squits, because the body treats it as a poison. It just wants to get it out. But it's just one of those things, so no chocolate for dogs.
Okay, I can do the no chocolate, I suppose. It's the biscuits, and, if I know I can give them in moderation, I won't feel...
Yeah, at least you haven't got... My friend's got a dog. She's got floor-to-ceiling bookcase, and it was Christmas, and she's wrapped up half a dozen selection boxes for the nieces and nephews for Christmas, and she's put them on the top shelf of the bookcase.
Oh, dear.
She's got a Beagle Springer Cross something or other, and she climbed up the bookcase.
Get the chocolate.
Get to the wrapped-up chocolates, oinked them all down on the floor,
Excellent.
opened every box and ate the lot.
Excellent.
And
that's really clever.
Oh yeah. Oh, this dog is far from stupid. It's brilliant. But yeah, she got up there and they rang me and said, "What do I do? What do I do?" And I'm just like, keep an eye on her, give her water, don't feed her anything. And right as rain, nothing wrong with that dog whatsoever.
It wasn't sick or...
No, it was more like...
Selection boxes.
Yeah, it's Christmas. What can I do next?
Yeah. What other chocolate can I steal? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Did you want to? Was there anything else you wanted to finish on?
No, I think we've covered quite a bit today. I mean, we can do poisons in dogs at another date if you want to. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think dogs are really important. I think to our mental health, everyone's mental health, and I think having a dog is just one of the things that can bring you so much joy. And I think if you can have a dog, have one.
Oh yeah, totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been known to lift people out of depression and all sorts, so we can do that at another time.
Good, because the show is about people's well-being, people's just general welfare, and for us, dogs are part of that.
Yeah, they are. They've been known to lift depression and all sorts, haven't they? So
I can see why. I really can. That's amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much, and we will speak. We will have another chat next week.
Okay, then, no worries. I'll speak to you soon.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. We're back, and I know that I'm feeding back on myself, and Jackson will sort that in a sec, so sorry about that. We've got Lee on with us to talk about a test case that he's gone through or going through. I'm not quite sure. So, good afternoon, Lee. How are you?
Hello, peeps. Can everyone hear me okay on the wall?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, it was a case that happened in April 2009, and I kind of saw what was going on there, and I thought, I think what I'll do is I'll set off some freedom of information requests and what's called a SAR. Are you guys familiar with a SAR? A subject access request.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought, I'll preempt these and set one off because I sensed that there was something wrong. When you feel like someone's setting you up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went to see the advisor, shall we say, and I took him a piece of paper which was basically using their own chart as information, and I insisted they signed it because that would bind them to me. Now, the reason I'd done that is because in the Job Seekers Act 1995, it stipulates that I should deal with an employment officer because I'm a claimant. So when I tried to speak to the guy at the meeting, it was a 40-minute interview, when I said, I'm happy to have this meeting, but I need you to read and sign this first, and he wouldn't. He point blank refused to do it. He also had another advisor with him, and I said, I'm not being funny, but get rid of this person who's beside you because I don't know who they are, and they have no reason to be here because it's a private meeting. And he didn't like that either. So long story short, he just would not read this document, and it got to the point where he said, I can't read it, it's too small. I said, well, if you can't read it, you shouldn't be here. I need someone who can do the job. So that really upset him, and then he used this term, well, I feel intimidated now, so I'm going to terminate the interview.
They like that.
And then my whole escapade began from that point. So feel free to ask a question on that one.
So you were claiming JSA, weren't you?
Yeah, I just started college as well, which they didn't really help me with. But I thought, okay, well, let's see where you want to go with this. And I just tried something. I tried to bind them to their own charter, but he sussed me out, and it went pear-shaped from that point on.
So what did you do after that then? Did they? How did it go after that point? What happened after that?
Okay, so what he'd done was he penciled me in for another meeting with another advisor, whose name...
Were you being paid?
No, not until I met the other guy. In fact, no, that's a lie. When I saw the other advisor, he suspended me benefits straight away because I wouldn't consent to anything. What they were trying to do, because I was in a college doing a part-time sound engineering course, he decided that my best places to go and work because of my hours was in bar work, kitchen porter, and bar waiting. And I said, no, that's not reasonable. I don't agree with that. So that's when he thought, well, you're not here to debate it, you're here to just accept it. I was like, an agreement, as my understanding goes, is a meeting of two minds to come to a concord. You can't just force this on me. That's dictatorial power. You don't have that authority. I said, especially not as an advisor. I said, who's a customer in this relationship? As far as I'm concerned, I'm here claiming something, so where'd you get your power to do that? And then he said, this isn't a case of semantics in law, this is about you being told what to do. I was like, okay, that's fair enough, but I don't agree. So he suspended me and put 3 investigations against my account, going back to September 2008. So he had a little vendetta against me from that point.
What were they investigating you for then?
I'd moved from being a carer, from carer's allowance, and then I went on to JSA because with me starting college I had to move out and get my own place. So everything, basically, my whole circumstance changed. So what this guy did was he investigated me back to when I changed onto job seeker's allowance. Now, I've got evidence which supported that they accepted all that. Right from the beginning, they sent me a letter saying, yeah, you're off carer's allowance, you are now on this. What they eventually done was they backdated it till September 2009 and took back £10 a week from now until 2017 because they overpaid me, even though they told me everything was fine.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I'm paying the penalty now for them illegally taking money from my benefits, even though it was their mistake in the first place.
Have you appealed that?
Yep, got all the way to tribunal, and the tribunal sided with the Department of Work and Pensions and said, yes, you're a customer and you can be told what to do. I've got it in writing.
That's just shocking.
But it got better. It gets better. When I saw that the next guy who sanctioned me, basically suspended the benefits, he suspended it for 3 months. And he also denied the hardship provision. Now, on the hardship provision, this was an interesting one because already in September when I changed the carer's allowance, I'd gone through the community care grant application, I'd gone through the social fund, I'd gone through the crisis loan, and all 3 of them were declined. So when I went to see the head customer manager,
Sorry, why were you declined? Why were you declined? A social fund loan. What reasons were they giving you to not give you even any money whatsoever?
Because I just didn't qualify. I didn't meet the criteria, and the criteria is always very vague and ambiguous, and they don't declare it. They just said it's something to do with contributions. So that all three were declined. So I didn't really have any benefits to speak of apart from this hardship provision, which is in the Job Seekers 1995.
Yeah.
And they reneged on it and said, no, we can't give it. It's not available to you right now, she said. It's not available to you, but you can apply for the loan. And I was like, I've exhausted all options with those three. There is nothing I can take or apply for. And she said, tough. You know, go and win to someone else.
Is that what she actually said?
Not in exactly, not in so many words.
Yeah,
but when I got my freedom of information request from all the information they use, she accused me of being drunk and an alcoholic. She said I smelled of alcohol when I haven't drunk for 4 years. So I've got all their written testimonies of all their stuff they write to each other. And there's some interesting comments, actually. One of them even hid. He hid away from me and said he was doing the right thing. He was doing the company a service by hiding away from me because he saw me in the queue.
He hid from you so he wouldn't have to deal with you.
Yep.
Nice.
This is all because you asked questions, basically, in the end, isn't it?
It's because I said no, because they wanted to amend my job seekers agreement. And I said, I'm not prepared to do those jobs. For number one, I don't want to work in a bar because my father's an alcoholic, so it kind of reminds me of bad things. I don't want to work in a bar because I don't like being servile to people and taking abuse off customers when it's, I'm better than that. There's other things I can do as a job rather than those things. And this guy just wouldn't have it. He just suddenly turned on me and said, well, if you don't meet me in 21 days, I'll terminate your job seekers, which they did eventually. They suspended me, put me on a stay of execution for X amount of time, and then I went in one day and the whole thing had been closed.
Did they put a form in front of you or something to sign, or did they just do it all in the computer system? Did you notice anything?
No, they done it all automatically. I didn't get a say in it. They just said, sorry, Mr. So-and-so, your account has been closed, so you need to do a rapid reclaim. Sorry, there is no money for you here today. And this was 4 months after they'd stopped it and denied me the hardship provision as well. In fact, they went even one better. They gave me one payment of hardship provision and then took £30 of it back because they overpaid me too much. So I got one hardship provision in 4 months and compromised me completely. Plus, they also, I don't know whether your listeners are aware of this, but when you get sanctioned, they are interlocked with all the local authorities. So the next thing you'll get your landlord or the local authority writing to you saying, if you can't prove where you're getting this money from to pay rent, you're out of a house as well, we'll evict you.
Yeah, as soon as you're in any sort of, any kind of arrears, even 70 quid, they start a possession order, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I managed to fend them off because I set off a case against them and complained. But with the hardship provision, I think it's part 9, it says, whether there is a substantial risk that essential items, including food, clothing, heating and accommodation, will cease to be available to the claimant, not the customer, but the claimant, or to a member of the claimant's family, or will be available at considerably reduced levels and the length of time these factors are likely to persist, do not sanction them. But they still do it anyway, because they don't listen.
Not even following their own rules, are they?
Well, they've broken every single regulation I can think of. I made that quite clear, and the judge just said, look, I'm here to decide whether you done as you were told. That's what he said. I'm here to hear whether you did as you were told, and you didn't. You didn't comply. And that's how he judged. Didn't argue about the customer or the claimants. None of that stuff. It was just like, did you do as you were told, as you were ordered to? I was like, no. Well, there you go. I rule in favour of the DWP. But one thing I learned from it all is make sure that you don't go to the Ombudsman or the MP because they side with them all the time. They are biased towards them.
What was your experience with Ombudsman then?
They won't touch your case until your MP gets involved. When the MP got involved, he sided with them and judged, yes, the customer can be told what to do. And the Ombudsman won't touch that unless, if you think about putting a civil case against them, they won't even touch your case either. So you're playing that in their legal realm to get them to investigate it on your behalf through the the legal framework. But if you threaten to take them to court privately, they won't touch you. Which I should have done. Thinking about it now, I should have set off a civil case against them. But it's food for thought next time if anything does happen, because I've still got all the evidence. It's still live for me. I'm just biding my time.
I don't know if this is. It probably doesn't seem a pretty. Might seem an odd question. Were you? Where was this? Were you in Liverpool?
Yeah, no, I was down here. I moved down to Brighton and I started claiming down here.
Because I think that your accent might have played a part in being in Brighton. I really do. I honestly believe that. I do. You'd have been treated differently if you'd been in Liverpool.
Oh, I don't know. Most job centres I've been to work on the same premise now. They are working to targets. There's no doubt about it.
I don't mean the outcome would have been. I just think that you probably might have not been called an alcoholic. You might not have been. I don't know. They might have interpreted you a bit differently. I think that, especially in the South, people do have an opinion about Scousers, and they do.
Yeah. I don't know, but it's racist if it is.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that's. I'm not saying that's right by any stretch, because it really isn't. But it just. I don't know, it just shows if you're out of your own home territory how shitty you can be made to feel, really.
You can do, but again, I think this is one of those things where people need to understand what's actually happening in that place, because it's not running how people believe. It just isn't. They've got their own regulations as well on the Department of Work and Pensions site about termination and suspension guides. Now, even they say in there, if you've got any reason to believe that if you impose a sanction on someone and you believe it's going to harm and affect them, do not do it. But they were okay to do it to me for 4 months. From anything that I've read on forums, other advisors that I've spoken to, I don't think any of them have been able to get a sanction not applied under those grounds. They seem to be pretty strict on that. Yeah, the big one he got me on was when I refused to see the advisor. They set off a secondary legislation. Now, the ones they used against me was they used the Social Security Act 1998, Section 8. They used the Job Seekers Act 1995, Section 6, Section 10, and Section 10.6. And then they also hit Job Seekers Allowance Regulations, which I'd never even heard of. What that essentially does was it gave me 21 days to comply and go and speak with the very kind advisor who was forcing me to amend my agreement. And because I wouldn't attend, because I didn't agree he was anything, he wasn't an employment officer as far as I could recognise. They got me that way and said I didn't comply with a order to go see this gentleman. So they got me on secondary legislation, finally. Okay, so basically, did you ask to see... you obviously said that you would see somebody else, but not him, or did you say you just wouldn't go? Well, the way I said it was, I'm contesting his validity as an employment officer, because as far as I'm concerned, in law, under that job seekers agreement, they have to be identified as an employment officer specifically. They can't be a advisor, because you're not a customer. That's just the job centre's wonderful facade. They have a charter, don't they? They're there to help aid and assist you find work. But you're not a customer to them. You are a claimant at law. And that was my argument. I'm not seeing this guy because I don't know who he is. He could be anyone. He's not properly identified. You give me an employment offer, and I'm quite happy to go make an agreement. But she said, well, so you're refusing to see him? I was like, no, I'm contesting his validity as an employment officer. And I've got all the internal stuff, that just the sarcastic comments they send to each other. Who does this guy think he is? He wants to see this, quote, employment officer. And it's just a sham. The whole thing is a sham. They use secondary legislation half the time to nail people. Were they suspicious about what the questions that you were asking, or was it simply that you were asking questions? I think it was because I tripped them up. In a sense that when I kept saying, "What am I, a customer or a claimant?" Because in law, it's kind of like when you say to someone, "You can't be a tenant and a landlord at the same time." I said, "So which one am I? If I'm claiming a benefit, I can't be a customer because a customer goes in to purchase something. What am I purchasing? As a happy customer here.
Yeah,
And again, I got them on that because they couldn't answer. The next thing is, you're being insubordinate, you're being awkward. It's all semantical, and unless you comply, we're going to terminate your benefits. And I still couldn't get an answer from anyone. Even on that note, what am I, a customer or a claimant? Because I couldn't see any legislation that was enforceable on a customer. It's all claimant this, claimant that, the claimant. There was nothing for customer. And I would try and advise people to challenge that idea. Because what are you buying?
Yeah, absolutely. What are you buying? I mean,
what a service are you getting? Yeah.
They seem to be a front for selling, I don't know, jobs, being able to go in and look for jobs. That seems to be the front that they're running for, but I can't see anything else they can offer you there, or, they're not giving you advice, are they? Why are they advisors? They can't give you advice. I don't know if you heard me say earlier when I called them and asked them, about an issue that I wanted to know about, and I said to them, you are paid to advise me, and he said, no, I am paid to answer your questions. So They're not, they're admitting they're not bloody advisors. So why are they all called advisors?
Because it's a front nomenclature for the corporation called the Job Centre Plus officers, because they even tell you they're a business. Unless you have business there, you've got to go on your own. You can't take your girlfriend or your brother, unless he's an observer, like I took my brother in to observe what was going on. But usually they say, unless you have business here, you're not allowed in the building.
No, you can't go in, unless you have, unless you are going with someone or you're going for a specific reason, they stop you at the door.
Yeah, and who's on the front door? Group 4 security.
Yeah, security.
Which is privately funded, and they're mainly on prisons for biometric entryways into prisons. So consider that one when you go to the door and you see these Group 4 security welcoming you as customer advisors.
Yeah.
Think of it. But just to close, I mean, I'll get off now because I've got 10 minutes left. But the last thing that I should make people aware of, I tested something else as well, and it was the gyro. Now, I'm trying to get away from the banks, so I thought, well, how can I get a gyro again? There is a way of doing it, but you have to use specific wording. Otherwise, they'll just continue putting it into your bank account. You have to tell them, it's not a request. You say, I'm ordering you to give me a gyro because my circumstances have changed. You give them a reason. They can't really refuse not to send you a paper gyro, which you can then take to the post office. It's just a way of getting away from them using a banking system. And we will do it.
Is that something you'd have to do if you wanted a gyro payment every week? Is that setting up gyro payments for future?
For me, it was just to get away from the bank, to stop them digitally transferring money into my bank. So when I asked for the gyro check, I knew that would cost them money to print. It's an inconvenience to them.
Okay, but they would just make one payment by gyro, and then would have to ask again, would you?
No, it's a continuous thing. I get a gyro all the time now.
Okay, so it can be so you can request it as payment. Okay, got you.
Yeah, but you have to be specific. You can't request it. You say I'm demanding it.
What kind of reasons? I mean, if you have to, obviously you have to give them a reason. I mean, what kind of reason?
Well, I stated, for example, that the fraudulent practice in the bank was making me culpable to crimes. So I wanted to stop using the bank and put it in so I can use the public service, which is the post office. And they accepted that fine.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why not? That's a good enough reason.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of advice for people who are thinking, you want to get out the way from banks and do something a little bit, anarchic. Try these things.
We were talking about gyros and how few and far between they were, and I was saying I hadn't seen a gyro for ages and hadn't known anyone that had a gyro for ages. So it's interesting that you said that.
Well, I had a bet with my brother that I would guarantee that I'd get one, and he said, "No, you got no chance. They won't do it." I got it. Proved them wrong, so it can be done. But it was an interesting case, very interesting case. Yeah,
no, I would like to talk to you more about. I want to anyway. I don't know if
absolutely.
Neo has got anything to ask you, because I know Neo was listening to you on Sunday as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just see you mentioned the gyros. On one of the broadcasts I did with Fairy, I think it was my initial one. I mean, when I first claimed JSA, because I had a problem with it trying to get paid. It took quite a while. I did try and ask for a gyro. Oh, actually, in the beginning, when I made the first claim, I asked for a gyro, and the lady on the phone says, "Oh, we don't do gyros anymore." I said, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah, gyros won't exist on I think it was like April." That was what she was told. Mm-hmm. But when I got back onto the phones a week or so later, the guy, because I said it's an emergency situation, I need to get paid. The guy on the phone said, "Well, we can pay you by a gyro." So I'm sitting there, but it was all a bit. It was all as if he really wanted to avoid paying me by a gyro, because he was trying to make out that it wouldn't be any quicker than getting paid by a bank. Yep. So it was nuts, really.
I think the reason they do that.
Sorry, mate.
I think the reason they do that is because it doesn't cost them any money to print a piece of paper in a gyro and get it stamped. If it's just an electronic transfer into bank, they make money from it. Mm. It's a service.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much are the banks making from all the DWP transfers into accounts?
Exactly. Exactly. And I'll tell you one thing as well, none of your benefit, but you hear about dole scroungers and this kind of thing. There is no such thing as anyone's taxes going into that fund. None.
Well, it's all just bollocks, isn't it? It's just, the whole notion of a benefit scrounger when there's all the shit that's going on above us. It just seems to, push it down to the more vulnerable people, the people that...
Lee, do you have any idea where this comes from? Have you ever looked into it? The money that you claim. See, obviously, I've heard a lot of this thing about this so-called trust, right?
Yeah.
And I just wonder what your views on that, in case you've looked into it or did any research on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I would just say look into the Social Security Contributions and Benefit Act 1992. It states there specifically, the paying such benefits under this act are payable... for paying such benefits under this act as are payable out of the National Insurance Fund and not out of other public funds. So there you go, they tell you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be good. I'd really like to carry on talking to you, but we've got to go. So
absolutely, anytime.
Carry on, mate.
Come on next week. Can you come on next week, Lee? Is that all right?
Yeah, of course, man. Anytime. I'm willing to share the stuff. So.
Okay. Well, maybe if you can hang on while we just say goodbye, and we'll catch up quickly after.
Yep, sure. Excellent.
Right.
Thanks, chaps.
Okay. Well, this has been Welfarey on. Oh, Jesus! I'm so shit. Welfarey on tnsradio.ning.com with the Welfare All Stars, so Nick Neo, the On Machine, and Wild Swan, and we've also had Leon today. So thank you all of you for listening. You can email me on welfare@welfare.org.uk. You can look at the site or leave a contact for us there. It's welfare.org.uk, or you can contact Nick. I can't remember what it is, but if you just do team@welfare.org.uk, one of us will answer you. Cheers, guys. Have a groovy day.